Okay, you are not going to believe this movie. So it starts at this summer camp, right? Camp Marigold. And this girl who works there comes running into the office, totally freaking out. She tells her friend, "You have to come with me. I just got a call from Cabin 6, and they said they found a dead body." The guy's like, "No way, that can't be real," but she drags him along anyway. He leads her to this creepy abandoned cabin, and she's getting a really bad feeling. He basically has to force her inside, and surprise, it's a huge party for him. The whole dead body thing was a prank because it was his 4th anniversary of working there. She's super relieved, and they all just start having a good time. So later, after the party, they're all hanging out and start telling ghost stories. They bring up this legend of a psycho killer named Boneface, which is the name of the movie, by the way. Most of them are just laughing it off, but this one girl gets super serious and is like, "No, he's totally real. He lives in these woods and you just murders campers." Everyone gets a little spooked, but they just go to bed. Big mistake. In the middle of the night, get this, the real Boneface shows up and just goes on a rampage. He starts killing them one by one, and it's so brutal. This one girl tries to make a run for it, but he catches her and just chops her head off with an axe. And then, as if that's not messed up enough, he rips her spine out. It was a total nightmare. Sometime later, the sheriff shows up and he's just stunned. The whole place is a bloodbath. The owner of the camp is there and she's so horrified she starts throwing up. The sheriff sees the bodies and he's like, "This is definitely the work of the Boneface killer." He tells his deputy that the killer has to be hiding somewhere close by. He tells the camp owner to go home and promises her they'll catch the guy. So the sheriff and his deputy head into the woods to investigate. They find some blood on a tree and follow the trail until they see a bunch of cars parked outside this little hotel. They figure the killer has to be inside. They walk into the hotel and it's full of people. You've got the waitress, Jenny, and a chef. Then there's this whole cast of characters, a college student, a tough-looking Marine who's in construction now, a dad and his daughter on a trip, a really stylish old lady, a couple of weirdos, and a girl who's a photographer. The sheriff starts questioning everybody, looking at them all like they could be the murderer. He's asking when they got there, where they're going, all that stuff. The whole time the daughter is just staring daggers at the Marine and he gets really mad about it. You can totally tell they know each other. The sheriff starts looking through the photographer's pictures, thinking the killer has to be in one of them, and sure enough, the deputy finds a photo of Boneface. The sheriff grabs the picture and goes outside to where it was taken, and he finds blood on a dumpster. Meanwhile, back inside the hotel, the student just walks up to the Marine and asks, "Did you kill anyone in the war?" The Marine looks totally shocked and just doesn't say a word. So awkward. Okay, so the sheriff comes back in, right? And he's holding this big black trash bag. He just dumps it all out on the table and bam, there's bloody shoes, a jacket, an axe, and the actual Boneface mask. It's all the killer stuff. The sheriff is like, "Okay, want to use the Boneface killer. You just murdered a bunch of kids, so fess up now." Everyone starts pointing fingers at each other, totally freaking out. But these two biker dudes, they just start laughing. They're like, "You're not going to find anyone here." The sheriff is not playing. He's like, "This guy has killed 30 people. He just hit Camp Marigold an hour ago, and now he's in this room. And guess what? The roads are blocked, so nobody is leaving." The bikers get super mad about this, yelling about warrants and stuff, but the sheriff just ignores them and tells his deputy to bag the evidence. Then he slaps a "closed" to sign on the door. Lockdown, baby. So the deputy takes all the killer stuff to the car. Then she comes back and starts frisking everyone. She checks the women, finds nothing, but then she checks the Marine, and get this, he's got a huge knife hidden in his boot. The bikers refuse to be checked, but the cops force him. Still nothing. Then the old lady goes to the bathroom and the photographer girl follows her in. She corners her and is like, "I know your secret." The old lady is totally panicked and begs her to keep quiet. While that's happening, the dad tries to listen in on the bikers, but they just yell at him to get lost. They're whispering to each other, planning to jump the cops and make a run for it. The waitress, Jenny, brings the photographer a coffee and sees he's got the picture of Boneface on his laptop. She gets super scared and is like, "You need to delete that right now." Then the sheriff gets a new idea. He's like, "Everybody, shoes off. The killer wears a size 9. The student kid immediately calls him out like, "Dude, that's so dumb. A killer could just wear bigger shoes." But the sheriff doesn't anyway. The Marine's a 10. The biker says he's crazy for checking the old woman, but the student pipes up, "Hey, there are famous female killers." Turns out she's a size 7 anyway. They check everyone and nobody's a size 9. The bikers refuse, so the chef, this big dude, just tackles one of them and forces his boot off. Still not a match. So the student kid, who's been quiet, decides he's cracked the case. He calls the sheriff over and secretly writes on a napkin, "I know who the killer is." The sheriff pretends to take him outside for air, but when they come back in, the kid is foaming at the mouth. He's writhing on the floor, and then he's just dead. The sheriff is like, "He was poisoned. The killer knew he was about to be exposed." But everyone else is now looking at the sheriff like, "Maybe you killed him." They ask who the kid named, but the sheriff says he died right before he could say it.
They start blaming Jenny, the waitress, and she served the food, and she totally loses it. So the sheriff starts a real interrogation now. He asks the Marine about the war, and the guy just casually says he killed thousands of people on orders. Everyone's just staring at him, completely freaked out. Then he drops another bomb. He was kicked out of the army for being medically unfit. The suspicion on this guy is through the roof now. Then the girl who was staring at him finally speaks up. She's like, I know you. She says you worked at Camp Marigold and got fired because a girl accused him of trying to assault her. The Marine swears the girl was lying because he turned her down. And just when you think it can't get crazier, the sheriff asks the photographer how she got the picture of Boneface. She says it was a total accident. Then he asked the old woman where she was, and Jenny said she went outside for a smoke break. That's how the photographer finally spills the beans on the old lady. She says, I bet it's her. She's on trial for murdering her last two husbands. And that's the big secret she was talking about in the bathroom. Total chaos.
So the old lady is just like, okay, fine, I had two husbands, but I totally didn't kill them. Then, out of nowhere, the bikers just attack the sheriff. They start beating him up, but the deputy pulls a gun on them, and they tie those two dudes up immediately. And then, get this, it gets super gross. One of the bikers throws up, and a bunch of drug baggies just fall out of his mouth. The sheriff is like, oh, I see, and makes the other biker puke too, and same thing, drugs everywhere. The sheriff is like, okay, now I get why you were so desperate to leave. You're just a couple of drug dealers. Just then, the sheriff's phone rings. It's his partner, and he's like, dude, I cracked it. I know who the real killer is. The sheriff tells his deputy, and then he marches right up to the chef. He's like, it's over. We know it's you. You're the Boneface killer, so just surrender. But the chef is like, no, I'm not the killer. I just wanted to kill the Marine because he tried to hurt my daughter. Then the Marine fires back, no way, man, your daughter was the one who was all over me. It turns out the girl from the camp story was the chef's daughter. The chef pulls a knife, the Marine grabs his gun, and bam, bam, the Marine shoots the chef, and the deputy shoots the Marine. They're both dead on the floor. So everyone's like, okay, case closed. The chef was Boneface, getting revenge for his daughter. The sheriff tells everyone they can finally leave. A little while later, the rest of the cops show up, and the deputy tells Jenny she should probably head home. Jenny's like, yeah, totally, I just have to use the washroom first. But she goes to the washroom, and she doesn't come back. She's been gone way too long. And the deputy suddenly gets this horrible feeling. She realizes, oh my God, it wasn't the chef, it's Jenny. She runs outside and finds the sheriff's body. Jenny had slit his throat. The deputy alerts her team and runs into the forest after her. She pulls out her gun and screams for Jenny to show herself. Jenny comes out and the deputy's just like, why? Why did you kill all those people? And Jenny just spills everything. She tells this insane story about how she had a twin brother who was a special needs kid. They lived at a camp, and all the other kids were horrible to him. One day they tied him to a tree in the woods as a prank, but the rope got caught around his neck and he died. He was only 13. The camp owners found out and did nothing, so her brother never got justice. That's when she snapped. She decided to get revenge and started killing all the kids responsible, one by one. And now, she just goes to any camp where bad stuff is happening and kills the people involved. She was even the one who planted the knife on the chef and the gun for the Marine, hoping they'd kill each other, which they did. And she poisoned the student kid because he saw her coming back from the woods with blood on her hands. The deputy is like, drop your weapon now. But Jenny just lunges at her. The deputy has no choice and shoots her right in the neck. Jenny bleeds out, and just like that, the real Boneface killer is dead. The movie ends a few days later with a new group of campers sitting around a fire. They're telling the story of the Boneface killer, saying that even though she's dead, her scary legend will live on forever, maybe even stopping other bad people from doing messed up stuff. And that's it.